să aveți timerul. Ok? Aveți clicker-ul?
Ok. Hello, hello everybody. Thanks for being here today. With Daniel, we'll share the experience of launching a game in a very few months, from the detection of an opportunity to really launching the game worldwide in a few months. Yes. So just to introduce, well, just to introduce ourselves. So I'm Guillaume Verlinden. I'm French, based in Barcelona, and working for the publisher Tilting Point. We handle a portfolio of mainly free-to-play games, but also some premium games. We have great games like Zombieland, Tab Busters, the Cat games, Star Trek Timelines, Warhammer, and many to come. And Daniel?
Hello, I'm Daniel Nai. I'm co-founder Metagame, where I handle the technical stuff, and I'm also in charge of running the company sometimes. So we do free-to-play games. We build Tab Busters. That's an idle clicker that's been live for a few years, and now we're building Zombieland with Tilting Point and Sony.
And today our goal is to share with you what happened behind the scenes. So maybe you can compare some of your experience to what we lived and where we succeeded and what were the difficulties that we faced. And we are happy to discuss it with you just after during this presentation or after. So, how this opportunity came? Well, we have at Tilting Point, we manage this group of games. Every game director manage a portfolio of games. We have the business development team. And we had this relationship with Metagame. Here they are based in Bucharest, and on idle RPG game. And on a completely separate thread, we had our business development team who went to a conference, and they met people from Sony, and they discussed an opportunity to use the IP Zombieland, because there was a movie release planned the next year. We did some internal investigation. What would be the perfect game framework for that IP? And we found out that the idle RPG would be a great match. And then we searched through our partners and said, who is the best partner we have to make this game? And we proposed this second challenge to Metagame after Tab Buster. Say, let's double down on a new project. So this is how this came, and it just happened literally 1 year ago. So we signed the contract and decided to start this game. So what was important? We knew that we had very little time, less than 1 year, because part of the contract and it made sense to release the game at the same time as the movie. We said, let's make sure that we organize and we structure ourselves in very detailed way to be extremely efficient during the process. So since the very first days, we decided to align the organization and define what would be the organization. So we have 3 organizations on a different time zone. Sony, the team is based in LA. We are based in New York, Barcelona, and Bucharest. So actually 4 time zones. And we said, well, you need to split the roles. So Sony is providing the IP, and they also helped us with the IP review, so checking the characters, checking the backstory, all what's the traditional, I would say, job of an IP owner. But on top, they were detecting and providing some insights from the markets, proposing some opportunities with different partners to get better marketing, to get better deals for the ads revenue, for instance. So that was the role of Sony, providing the IP and some business opportunities. Then the role of a publisher, and our role especially at Tilting Point, is to give all the services to let the developer focus on the core activities. So we started with building a UA plan, a marketing plan, contacting all the iOS and Google to get like featurings. We also started to build a QA team, a customer support team, community, etc. Everything that gravitates around the game and connect to the players. And of course, Metagame focusing on the product and design decision plus development. This is how we divided the work at the beginning. There's also something that is very key and actually happens slightly before that, was to assess the opportunity size and put in place like what we call a deal structure, defining the potential and creating the forecast of this game. So we had the things super clear from the beginning, a clear forecast, clear expectations, and everybody aligned. But also we needed to have everybody committed to a success. And to commit people to a success, there is one way, is to commit on financial results. So we proposed and we agreed on with the different partners to have a revenue share model. That's every partner or every developer will have a different way of working. We believe that for Zombieland it is the best approach, since you ensure that everybody will be extremely committed and extremely motivated to reach the milestone and deliver a great game. So we have you know the model of work for hire. There are different other models, but that's the plan that we decided for this game. And the roadmap. Now let's get into details and understand what we did over the different months. I'll leave you.
Yeah, so the biggest challenge for this game was the very aggressive timeline, because of course we needed to be live with the game at the same time as the movie, which just came out in October. So we had a few months of pre-production. That was very important, and during these few months, so we did prototypes to understand exactly how the game is going to look like, because in the beginning we thought maybe it's going to be exactly like Techbusters with just one hero and I don't know, one static zombie, and then we experimented and we reached out the format that we have right now, where you have a team of heroes, and then you have the zombies walking, you know, and kind of you have this nice feeling, you know, of being threatened and all that. And during pre-production, that was you know what we are doing. We were doing these experiments. We are doing a lot of wireframing and mock-ups, so that when we started production in February, we had the game vision in place. And if you look right now at the game that is live, it's pretty much, you know, that vision. Of course, there were many changes along the way, but like we have kind of the same big parts of the game that were decided during pre-production, so production started in February, and in August we already went out with the first soft launch. So that was pretty you know, like was pretty hardcore to do that, but we did it, and it really helped us that we put in place a process, to make sure that we play different parts of the game as early as possible. So what we were doing is we're having monthly releases, and each month we would have some features that would be in what we call like fast prototype mode, where the goal is really to play them. It doesn't really matter how they look like, but they need to be in a state where we can understand the emotion that comes out of playing those features, and we can have a pretty good idea that the goal for that feature will be fulfilled once we have it complete. So and then we would also have a few features that are in full production mode, meaning that we take the ones that were prototype in the earlier iteration, and we would add production value, and we would add we cover all the edge cases and all that, and it would be ready to put in the game and consider it final. So I think that's the most important thing when you're making a game, especially on a very tight schedule. You need to make sure that what you're building is right, and you need to make sure that as early as possible, because there was very little room, to change course. So in August we did the first soft launch, which the game was pretty early stage at that moment, so there was still a lot of bugs in it, and even in the gameplay we did some changes afterwards. But the goal was really to release the game so that we understand the market reaction. We make some tests for user acquisition to understand exactly how the marketing is gonna look like. And of course, you can do CPI tests before using mockups, but it's much more powerful to do real CPI tests with the actual game. So we released it in the Philippines, and we also got a feeling of how players react to the features that we put in the game. And we did a few important changes after that release. And then we had another two soft launch releases where we added more countries. We added, of course, more features, and we fixed many bugs. So we expanded to Australia, and then we expanded to Canada and Romania at the end of September. And the game was ready, at the same time as the movie, which for us was, kind of a must. So it was pretty intense period, but in the end we all loved it, because almost the entire team has been assembled for this game. So pre-production was done just by the founders of Metagame. So we were 3 people, 1 designer, 1 artist, and 1 programmer. And then the majority of the team joined in February. And that's why, of course, they also believe in the game, because it's their game as well. So that also was something that was very, very important for the way the game looks and feels right now.
And there's a very important trade-off. You need to assume, if you are in very tight deadline, you need to assume that you won't have all the content with the maximum quality, super optimized in all aspects. So you need to prepare the next steps. So it would be crazy to say, I will have everything for the date and will put all the energy to go super fast. That's unrealistic, and that's actually I think, very dangerous. But I think that the trade-off that we took is to say, okay, what is the level of content we need for the launch? Ideally, we would need that, okay, but realistically. And then we focused, okay, we need at least 1 week of play. And we drew this grid of, okay, we have this level of content, we have this roadmap, we have these features ready, so we make sure that post-launch, we are able to catch up quite fast and complete what the missing pieces. I think that was very important and very key. When you know that you are super tight with the deadline, don't try to rush and go faster. That this is probably not the solution. You need to assume that you won't have everything and delay and prepare your post-launch strategy. So currently, we released the game mid-October, and now we are currently on this roadmap of how we catch up, and at the same time we extend to the mid and late game content. So we released mid-October for the movie release. With the marketing of the movie, this is the main benefit of having an IP. So you get a lot of visibility, plus you get better access to the stores, so you can get better exposure for your featurings. And in a few weeks, we got around 800K installs at a good retention. So as I was saying, we don't have a lot of content, so we are measuring on the first days of retention, and we had a first day of retention around 45%. So that's a great achievement for a game that was produced in so little time and with missing components. There are some features, if you play the game, and hopefully you have played the game already, you will see that there are some things that are missing, but you can expect that they will be added to the game. So that's what happened with the launch. If you paid attention to the slide, I noticed it very recently. The artist who helped us with the slide did a mistake. They used an illustration. There is no plan to stop the game. This is only a placeholder because the game is performing well, and we expect some improvements as well with the new releases. We have a couple of best practices that we would like to share, especially if you are in this situation of three parties involved in doing one game. I insist, that's not a super easy task. It's already very difficult to articulate and organize one team. Aligning three people from, or three groups of people from three different companies with different culture, it's a big challenge. So one of the best practice for us was to find the right IP, match with the right game framework, so the idle RPG framework, and the right combo of partners. Also, it's different within the company. You need to make sure that you speak to the right people. In one company, you need to select the people that are compatible. That was very important at the beginning for the kickoff of this project, to find people that can collaborate, where there is an easy communication. That's not obvious, that's not something you think about. People would tend to focus on the game and only game development design. That's the organization around it was key, and I think that's the main success lever in this creation of Zombieland. On top of that, that's the three first ones are vital. That's a must-have. But then if you have the three first components, you can release your game, but that's not necessarily a good game. So this is why when you select the IP, what comes with the IP? What comes with the identity, the art style of your game? You need to prepare a very aggressive and very ambitious marketing plan, including user acquisition decisions, and find the right design mechanic that fits the audience, that fits the IP, that make everything consistent. That's also something that seems obvious, but that's when you go into details and you start extrapolating on a character and trying to finding a different backstory, then it's not consistent anymore with the movie content and the movie story. So that's very important to define this in the first step. Then the right game framework, how you find the right game framework and you execute it. The approach that Metagame took to have this pre-production and then work on the component and then link them together is also a decisive decision. Some will prefer to be extremely agile. Some will go for something very well defined at the beginning, and this is the decision that we took to define and to go very, very far in the design decisions since the very beginning, and then be mainly on iteration and execution. And then I've insisted probably enough on this. Find the right collaboration tools, the right framework, the right level of involvement. Sometimes publisher can be too involved in the design decision, or an IP owner can be too picky about some decisions. So we define some guidelines, very strict guidelines, and saying, look, this is what I expect from you, this is your role, and you can go beyond, but only if it's a proposition, not if it's something that you want to force people to do it that way. So that's also something that you need to make extremely clear since the beginning and say, look, in 8 months, there will be situations a bit tense, a bit where people will lose face or will lose probably efficiency, and you need to say, okay, this, we schedule it in advance, and when you are down, I will push you up, and I think that's what happened a lot during this process. Oh, and the 2 fingers.
Also, if we want to have some lessons learned about the production, I think it was for us. We took the decision, of course, to make idle RPG because we had the experience from Tebbuster. So it's important as a game developer to choose a game that you are pretty sure that you're gonna deliver the high level of quality. And we also did, but it's not that you don't want to just clone your pre-existing game or clone other games on the market. Of course, you always take mechanics from existing game, mechanics that are proven. But with this game, we also added, a level of features that are pretty unique to the game. So we have this map, and you have this roster of heroes that you can send out in different missions. So this also adds to the appeal of the game, the fact that it's not another clone of either heroes or that type of game. So it's really important to find a good mix between proven features and the things that you're going to do different and are going to set the game apart from the competition.
So, if for the Q&A.
Well, I think we have time for 2 questions before Guillaume rushes to the airport, and I'm going to take one. Raise your hand so I can see you.
From here with this light, we can't see you, so if you...
Well, okay, if you don't, then you can contact the guys via their channels. I'm pretty sure they're quite public. And thank you very much.